Well, hello, my friends. We're back on the Queen and the Crone DLC today, where the Dark Elves and the Wood Elves will be facing off at the Lost Idols. And I must say, after watching the Ever-Chosen Invitational, after having my hands on multiplayer for a while now, the Elves are absolutely in the ascendancy. As we know, the Wood Elves, Dark Elves, and High Elves were already amongst the best factions in Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer. There's no question in my mind that they are continuing to ascend and get towards that upper echelon near that tier 1, that tier 0 territory. And for the Dark Elves, there's a big reason for that. Crone Hellebron, at least on the build we're playing with currently, is extremely good. She is a blender lord through and through with ridiculous weapon skill, armor piercing damage, and her Gaze of Cain will give any big blob of infantry huge buffs, so plus 25 melee attack, plus 25% weapon damage, and rampage, and they will just carve through your line wherever that ability, that murder party, is popped. So she is a problem. She offers a ton of utility, a ton of DPS, a ton of everything to the Dark Elves faction. And when she's on that Manticore, she's not particularly squishy either. Poison attacks and 45 armor, it's not bad. She causes terror. She's really strong. So what we're going to do today is try and shut down the Dark Elf hordes, and that's going to be a lot easier said than done. So, really interesting build here. Doomfire Warlocks are incredible for the Dark Elves. Everything I've seen from them, every time I've used them, they kick serious ass if used well. Light Cavalry with some really good stats, magical attacks, which is an absolute issue for the Wood Elves because it means that they will be piercing through all that physical resistance, and for my Wild Riders, that will be a particularly big problem, and some Dark Riders and Slaanesha's Harvesters coming out of the woods. So what these guys are going to offer is a lot of the DPS and a lot of mobility. So Slaanesha's Harvesters have Word of Pain and Soul Stealer, two really good spells, especially in a cavalry fight. And then the regular Doomfire Warlocks have Lesser Doombolt and Soul Blight. So just tons of utility coming out of these guys. And with the Dark Riders, they're going to be a serious issue for my Wild Riders out on this flank. I actually deployed some of my Vanguard moving down the cliff to try to do some scouting. And I was like, why didn't he see my Waywatchers at the start of the match? And that's because he was hidden right there. He didn't want to go for them because I had cavalry nearby, but now one of my Wild Riders is isolated. As we keep it in slow motion here, we'll take a look. Hawkeyes of Drakira, Regiments of Renown, of course, the 30th anniversary ones have returned. They're going to offer a ton of missile damage from range 42 and a leadership penalty. So really nice shooting from them. We have a Glady up top with the Prey of Anathrema, some War Dancers, and the Loex Tricksters, who have Loex Shroud, will give them Stalk, and Storm of Blades will give them a really nice buff to melee attack at the cost of melee defense out on the flank. They're going to be really good with that AP and some War Dancers and a Branch Wraith. So let's take a look at this cavalry engagement as we look at the beginning of the battle. I brought my Wild Riders down. I saw, oh god, things are about to get real scary for me and my cavalry. Wild Riders are amazing cav, but that 20% physical resistance is a big part of why they are so good, and it's going to be nullified completely by these Slaanesha's Harvesters. So I'm trying to pull away, but they have 92 speed. I won't be able to outrun them, and that means I have to turn around, and I have to fight. So we're going to charge in. The Dark Riders will absorb the charge of the Wild Riders, which would really hurt those Doomfire Warlocks really bad. Very nice move from Gojira there, and he's going to absorb the charge. And now, as Word of Pain and Soul Blight, or I guess just Soul Blight, and Soul Stealer get dropped down on me, that's going to be really bad news for my Wild Riders out here, and that's going to be a rough start to the game. Wild Riders absolutely will go down here as more of these Dark Elf cavalry move up. Arrow of Kurnus goes in. Another charge from the Dark Riders here, and that will allow some of these others to finish up the Wild Riders and finish off a lot of my cavalry. Word of Pain going down. Great debuffs all around. This is the utility that that cavalry will offer you. And now Gaze of Cain, giving those Dark Riders some extra punch. 49 melee attack now, and it's been a bad cav fight so far. But there is something up my sleeve here. Of course, I do have Prey of Anathrema, which in and of itself is going to be real nice to slow down some of that cavalry, but I have two of my Waywatchers moving up as well. So if I can get them in range, I can start firing in and really mess up the low armor of these Doomfire Warlocks, who are running roughshod in the back right now. And I have an awesome model too. But look at what they have. 92 speed, poison, magical attacks. They're just absolutely absurd. And they have really cool attack animations too. Ripping through my Wild Riders, and they will rout. But I have gotten the Prey of Anathrema down on the Slaanesha's Harvesters. And now we can reap a terrible tally here and start shredding them from range with our Waywatchers. And this should help equalize the fight a little bit more as the rest of my cavalry engage out over here. And you can see when they go down, they'll actually have their soul stolen by Slanesh, which is awesome. That's what that pink stuff popping up from the ground is. A really cool effect there. I love it. I love how they've done this unit. But more cavalry fighting. About half HP for both these guys right now. Waywatchers getting some more good shots in there. And Hellebron, the Crone, the Hag Queen, getting in there as well. And we pretty much have to just pull out as we absolutely shred these light cavalry from range. Waywatchers are making a big impact here. But as all that happens, the Dark Elves are pushing up over the cliff, and they are going to try to push me all the way back, and I am not ready to engage them in a regular melee fight. Not yet. Dark Elves are scary in a close quarters combat, especially with Murderous Crossbows. We don't want to deal with that yet, so we're going to try to deal with all this cavalry first. And my cav is pretty beaten up at this point. I mean, they might come back after 52 kills. I did rout some of his Dark Riders, but both of them incredibly beaten to shreds at this point. And I need to reform my infantry line and think about how I want to take this infantry engagement. If we look at what he's rocking with on the melee fight, he's got Dread Spears on the flanks, Black Ark Corsairs with handbows, which could do a lot of damage to my low armor stuff, Black Ark Corsairs, Ganeth, Executioners to anchor the line, and he's reforming here. More Dread Spears pushing up. We can definitely take that melee engagement. War Dancer's thinking about it. Maybe trying to get around the flank. And that is a Melkost to slow him down. Hellebron going to try to get up close and start murdering her, but we do have the Prey of Anathrema to basically just shut down all this aggression that Hellebron's showing early on. Already up to 25 kills. Waywatchers can get some shots in. Really important for me to note here, though, even though we have a ton of armor-piercing damage, we should be able to shred her Manticores, even Dragons, but especially the lower size stuff. So you think about Dark Pegasus, you think about Manticores. When they are stuck by a net or by Prey of Anathrema, they will still shudder. And you can see that those kind of matrix dodges will end up dodging a lot of the shots that come in. And so even though we're getting some really good shots in, every time she takes a little bit of damage, she's going to shudder and kind of dodge out of the way of all these arrows. And that's going to be a bit of a problem for me because we're firing from max range. So as they fire in, still have to be very cautious about the Dark Elves, and we might have to take them on the downslope now. Continue to kite. We are doing some decent damage there, down to 3,900 HP. No way to regen that, which is really important. No Soul Stealer for her. And some good shots from the Glade Lord. But we also have a Sorceress with Shadow, who will be looking to do some debuffs in the middle of this melee engagement. More cavalry fighting out on this flank. Wild Riders did go back in. Dark Riders and the Doomfire Warlocks getting in there. And the cotton candy shots. Some of the verbiage from the Ever-Chosen Invitational is absolutely going to wear off on me. So we got some really good shots in there with the Waywatchers. Wild Riders just absolutely smashed by the magical attacks. But all the cavalry is pretty much dead now. I mean, they're probably going to run off the field. Snesh's Harvesters or Dark Riders might come back to the fight. But we've gotten rid of most of the cavalry. And it was a pretty even trade as a Pit of Shades goes down in the middle of the War Dancers and the Dryads now engaging on the slope. This is a little bit of a scary engagement. Ideally, I would not want to be fighting on the slope at all. That is a glorious downhill charge for the Dark Elves here. But I decided to take the fight because my Waywatchers are now in a good position to fire in, and they can get some really good shots in as the Ganeth Executioners push up. And what we're going to try to do here is pull them in with our War Dancers and isolate them right here in the center. You can send a Waywatcher out this way, you can send a Waywatcher out this way, and then fire into this one unit. And if we get a rear charge with the low X Tricksters, with that stock, we could maybe immediately eviscerate them, take them off the field, and that could be a huge blow to the Dark Elves here, because they don't have a ton of fantastic infantry. That is the one high-tier infantry unit that they're rocking with right now. So War Dancers and Dryads not doing great. They're going to beat the Dread Spears, but the Black Ark Corsairs will definitely be a problem. We're pulling back, getting some good shots in, and Hellebron popping the Gaze of Cain. Pretty scary. Witch Brew actually going down. Witch Brew is pretty, I mean, the Rampage, losing control of Hellebron this close to my line with the Waywatchers firing in, that's pretty scary for her. But she needs that if she wants to beat the Glade Lord in melee. War Dancer's getting a charge in here as we get some more Waste Talk or Waywatcher shots in. And Low X Tricksters coming in from the flank. If we pop that plus 26 melee attack buff, we could absolutely shred them coming in from the flank. Look at these Ganeth Executioners absolutely melting right now. Storm of Blades popped. Big charge coming in. And we are going to start shredding them from the flank. Glorious right now. And we will rip them up. And that's going to be really good for us. So, Ganeth Executioners going down for now. Hawkeyes of Drakira firing in. Dark Elves pushing inexorably forward. And I'm going to get my Glade Lord in there to hopefully cause some kind of fear in the Dread Spears, make them rout, but the Dryads will certainly rout here. good shots coming in from the Blackguard Corsairs, and he's done a decent job of pushing my Waystalkers, Waywatchers back, making sure that they can't join in the main fight, kill those Executioners. But look at how fast they're dying. They're getting absolutely shredded over here. They're going to go down very quickly as we took a really good engagement, completely surrounded them, and balance bar shifting pretty heavily in the Wood Elves' favor here. Dreadspear's routing. Some of the Dryads are gone, but the Sorceress has been haunted by this Glade Lord who got some good shots in her, and she dropped pretty quickly. Cavalry off the field now. They're going to drop. Yeah, all those Doomfire Warlocks gone now. Slanesh will steal their souls. More shots coming in from the armor-piercing Waywatchers. Branch Wraith in the center of it all, just tanking the Blackguard Corsairs. It's another Earthblood on top of all my War Dancers there. Nice charge from the Glade Lord. We're going to lose the War Dancers with the Azrai Spears as another Pit of Shades goes down. That's a really nice one. That's going to do a lot of damage there. But we have taken a pretty commanding lead. Even though we're out of ammunition on all of our Waywatchers, look at how many kills they have. 91 with that last volley going in. It'll go up to 96. And we've kited all the Dark Elf army all the way down this hill. Melkoth's going down. Not going to matter. We've got them where we want them. Then the rear charge from the Glade Lord on this Sorceress should be enough to pretty much cause that chain route that we're looking for. She's got absolutely no hope. Guys of Akira actually have some good melee capabilities as well. So, very nice engagement here. Sorceress will go down. That'll precipitate a mass rout for the Dark Elves pretty soon. They're going to be able to get a couple more kills here on my War Dancers, but with the Dryads coming back to the fight, and how much we have left on the field, especially with that melee engagement we took right here, where all those Harganeth Executioners died, we are going to take the battle. Nice rear charge from the Branch Wraith. Glade Lord going in, and we'll enjoy some nice little close-ups as the Glady destroys them with that Eagle. And that was a fun one. So the beginning of that battle was really interesting, actually. We got a really fun cavalry engagement that was completely away from the main line. And we kind of just had to cycle in whatever units we could that could get there in time, which was not very many. Hellebron got over there, Glade Lord got over there, Waywatchers got over there. But I'd say that after that cavalry fight, it made me favor me a little bit, because the Waywatchers were able to get some really good shots in and absolutely shred that cav. But my Wild Riders died right off the bat, and these kills, most of them were done on the Dark Riders, which is not a very cost-effective trade for them, right? So I think these Doomfire Warlocks offer a massive amount to the Dark Elf army. They just do so much for you. Not only are they huge AoE debuffs or DPSers, you can use that Soul Stealer to completely equalize a cavalry engagement that's not going so well for you. You can use that Soul Blight to plop it down on the main line or in a cavalry fight out on the flank. They have the mobility to keep up with Wild Riders, even outrun them. They can run down archers. They can get rear charges off. They're insanely good. They're expensive, but they're insanely good. They offer so much for the Dark Elf army. I love these units. Absolutely one of the highlights for me in this entire DLC. For the rest of it, he didn't actually end up using a lot from the Queen and the Crone, honestly. He has Hellebron, but those are pretty much the only thing. None of the other Regiments of Renown, which I think could have probably been beneficial. The main line infantry fight didn't go particularly well for him, but I think a lot of that was because they didn't have the support of the Gaze of Cain from Crone Hellebron and the Manticore. I think she went a little bit too YOLO dealing with the Glade Lord and would have been better suited once she lost the cavalry fight, moving out to go support her infantry on the main line. But we look at the Waywatchers here. I mean, they just absolutely shredded. Executioners had no chance as their armor-piercing shots got into them. They kited really effectively, and with all that cavalry beaten up after we got the Prey of Anathrema in and shot into them for a while, they had nothing to run down my back line, and that was also a big problem for the Dark Elves. The Glade Lord did a lot for me, some really good Arrow of Kernesses, and the War Dancers did what they're supposed to do, hold the line, kill stuff, trade well with Blackguard Corsairs, and overall, really fun battle. So hope you guys enjoyed that one. Lots more Queen and the Crone coming soon. We'll see you next time. Any Pride, signing out for now.